Welcome to another deep dive, everyone. This time, we're taking a closer look at AI transcription, and specifically how it connects to natural language processing, NLP, and the role Python plays in all of this.
It's a field that's exploding right now. Like, we've seen a 2,967% surge in AI transcription just within the past few years.
2,967%. Seriously. That's massive. It seems like AI is everywhere we look these days. So where are we seeing this AI transcription really taking off?
Yeah, it's pretty wild, right? You're right, it's everywhere. But one of the biggest impacts is definitely in video subtitles. It's pretty amazing how AI is making all that video content accessible.
Absolutely. And it's all thanks to NLP, isn't it? Can you break that down for us a little?
Sure thing. NLP is a super interesting part of AI. Basically, it's about giving computers the ability to understand and process language, human language. It's almost like teaching them to read, write, and think the way we do.
So kind of like building a digital brain that can work with language.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And when you combine that with AI transcription, things start to get really interesting. We're lucky to have this amazing resource, natural language processing with Python, to help us understand this whole world. It really digs deep into how Python, the programming language, plays a key role in NLP tasks like AI transcription.
I'm curious why Python, there's so many programming languages out there. What makes it so special for NLP?
Well, Python is known for being easy to read, which is huge for developers, especially when you're dealing with complex code. But there's more to it. Python has this incredible ecosystem of libraries specifically designed for NLP. The Natural Language Toolkit, or NLTK, is a great example. It's like a toolbox packed with ready-to-use solutions for all sorts of NLP challenges.
So if I'm getting this right, Python is like the language we use to talk to computers about human language. And NLTK is the toolkit that helped us actually get things done.
You nailed it. And the authors of Natural Language Processing with Python, Stephen Bird, Ewan Klein, and Edward Loper, they're really passionate about Python for NLP. They've packed the book with tons of practical examples, which makes it way easier to understand and actually use these concepts.
Those practical examples sound awesome. I'm definitely a learn by doing kind of person. But before we get too deep into the code, could you walk us through how those NLP techniques actually work in AI transcription? It all seems pretty complex.
You can imagine AI trying to transcribe speech, like a detective trying to solve a case, right? They're piecing together clues. So NLP techniques like text processing and tagging, those are essential for the AI to really get what's being said and transcribe it accurately.
Okay, so detective AI is on the case. But I'm still a little fuzzy on what text processing and tagging actually are in practice.
Okay, so let's start with text processing. Think of it as getting the text data ready for analysis. Like, one step is converting everything to lowercase so the AI doesn't get confused by capitalization. Then there's stemming and lemmatization, which basically simplify words down to their base forms.
Ah, I see. So instead of having running, ran, and runs tripping up the AI, it just understands they all come from the base verb run. Make sense?
Yeah.
But what about tagging? What's that all about?
Tagging is like labeling each word with its grammatical role in a sentence. Is it a noun, a verb, an adjective? And this is super important for the AI to understand the sentence structure and, at the end of the day, the meaning of the text.
So it's kind of like giving the AI a cheat sheet for grammar, right?
Yeah.
So it knows how all the words fit together.
You got it. But just like with any cheat sheet, if there's a mistake, it can lead to some pretty funny misinterpretations.
Oh, I can only imagine. Damn good examples.
Okay, picture this. The AI accidentally tags the word refuse as a noun instead of a verb. Suddenly, a sentence like, they refuse to take the trash, turns into, they trash to take the refuse.
That's hilarious. It definitely shows why accurate tagging is so important. But this makes me wonder, if AI can struggle with something as seemingly simple as tagging, how in the world does it handle these bigger tasks like breaking down language barriers? I know we touched on that earlier.
Well, that's where the real power and complexity of NLP come in. Tagging is like a foundation, but NLP goes way beyond that. It makes real-time translation and transcription services possible, connecting people across different languages.
It's like having a universal translator in your pocket. It's mind-blowing how far this tech has come.
It really is. The book actually talks about some of the issues early translation systems had, and it really highlights the incredible challenges researchers have overcome to get us where we are today.
I'd love to hear more about those early systems and how they paved the way for the NLP we have now. But before we get into that,
Oh, yeah, those early systems were really interesting.
I bet, what were some of their, quirks?
Well, one of the biggest issues they ran into, as the book mentions, was translating word for word without really considering the grammar.
So kind of like taking a sentence like, I am going to the store, and
Mhm.
just swapping the words directly into another language,
Yeah.
even if the word order is completely different.
Exactly. That often led to translations that just didn't make sense or at least sounded super awkward. But thankfully, the NLP techniques we have now are way more advanced.
I'm glad to hear that. So how are they more advanced? Like, what's different?
Well, now NLP can analyze the structure of a sentence, figure out idioms, even learn the little differences in dialects.
Wow, so they're not just translating words anymore. They're actually translating, like, the meaning behind them.
You got it. And it's fascinating how these same techniques that make translation work are also what power AI transcription happen. I mean, think about it. The AI has to not only recognize the words, but also understand the context and how the sentence is structured to transcribe it accurately.
So whether it's translating or transcribing, it all comes down to that deeper understanding of language that NLP provides. It's really clicking for me now just how much potential this tech has.
And as we create even more powerful NLP models, the possibilities just get more and more exciting. Imagine, like, real-time translation tools that are so good you can't even tell it's not a human translator. Or AI transcription systems that can handle even the most complex speech without missing a beat.
It's almost like a world where language isn't a barrier anymore.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing thought. And we're still working towards that, that ultimate goal. But it's incredible how far we've come and what the future of NLP could look like.
I have to say, this whole conversation has really opened my eyes to how powerful NLP is. It's clearly changing the game in so many ways.
It really is. And for anyone who wants to dive deeper, natural language processing with Python is an awesome place to start. It gives you a solid understanding of how NLP works and how it's being used in the real world.
Well, after this deep dive, I'm definitely adding that to my reading list. I bet our listeners will be too. But before we go, I'm curious, what was the biggest thing that stood out to you from all this? What was your, like, aha moment?
Hmm. For me, I think the biggest takeaway is just how AI transcription is really about connecting how we communicate as humans with how computers understand things.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes how this technology isn't just about making things easier. It's about opening up whole new possibilities with language itself.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Just a few decades ago, the idea of an AI accurately transcribing a conversation or translating languages instantly was like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It's crazy how fast things have changed. And
Yeah.
it all comes back to this book, Natural Language Processing with Python. It really feels like it unlocks the secrets behind all this.
It does. And what I really appreciate is how they don't just focus on the theory, they actually show you how to use these techniques with Python. Get your hands dirty.
So if someone's brand new to all this, would you say this is a good starting point, this book?
Absolutely. They explain even the complicated stuff in a way that's clear and engaging. And like we said before, all those real-world examples are so valuable, especially if you learn best by doing.
Okay, you've sold me on it. Definitely adding it to my list. But before we wrap things up, what's one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think the most important thing to remember is that we're living in a time of incredible linguistic innovation. NLP is changing how we communicate, how we access information, even how we see the world around us.
That's a really powerful thought. It's a reminder that language is more than just words. It's the foundation of our thoughts, our cultures, how we connect with each other.
And with NLP and AI, we're unlocking the potential of language in ways we never thought possible.
It really is an exciting time. A huge thank you to our expert for being here today and sharing your insights with us. And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI transcription and NLP. Be sure to check out those resources we mentioned and keep exploring this fascinating field. Until next time, keep learning.